Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to explain the topic architecture of 8086 microprocessor. In the previous videos, we have seen 8086 architecture and 8051 architecture. So in this video, I'm going to explain the architecture of 8085 microprocessor. Okay. First, before going to see the architecture, so let us see, explain the basic features of 8085 microprocessor first, right? So 8085 microprocessor is the 8-bit microprocessor. It operates operating voltage of this 8085 microprocessor is 5 volt and operating frequency is 3 megahertz, right? And it has 16-bit address bus and 8-bit data bus. Because it is a 8-bit microprocessor, it consists of 8-bit data bus and 16-bit address bus, right? So it can access up to 64 KB of memory location, because here 16-bit address bus is there. So we know the formula, that is, we know that the formula, that is 2 power n formula. So 2 power n is equal to that is 2 power n, that is equal to 2 power 16, where n is what, number of address lines. So 2 power 16 is equal to 64 KB memory location. So it can access up to 64 KB memory locations. Okay, so these are the basic features of 8085 microprocessor. Now let's come to the architecture of 8085 microprocessor. Let us see the blocks one by one, right? This is the 8085 architecture. Now let us see the first, the topmost section, that is interrupt control unit, right? So in the interrupt control unit, so 8085 microprocessor has the following interrupts, that is trap, RST 7.5, 6, RST 6.5, and RST is 5.5, then INTR. So all these are what, external interrupts. External pins are available in the 8085 microprocessor to access the external interrupts. Okay, so this is what interrupt control in it, right? Now let's come to the second section, that is serial IO control. Here the serial IO control means what? So serial data. So that is data can be received from the outside world. Okay, so that can be done by using SID and SOD. SID indicates serial in data and SOD indicates serial out data. That is, data can be in through to the CPU through SID pin. Okay, data leaves from the processor is what, through SOD pin. So these two pins are mainly used for what, communication between the external world through serial communication. That is serial IO control, right? These are the two blocks, okay, which are involved. Okay, so next, it has 8-bit internal data bus. Okay, already I told, so it is a 8-bit data bus. Now let us come to the accumulator concept. Okay, what is the accumulator function? Okay, now I am going to explain each block. Okay, each block functionalities clearly. Okay, so here the accumulator is the 8-bit register. 8-bit register is called as A register, right? So the main function of this accumulator is the accumulator is always associated with what, ALU, that is arithmetic and logical unit. Okay, I'm going to explain this accumulator with one example. For example, add B instruction. We just take add B instruction. So what is add B instruction? The content of accumulator is added with B register. Accumulator. The content of A register add B instruction. The content of accumulator is added with B register, and result will be stored in accumulator. Okay, that is the concept over here, right? So after the ALU operation, the result is always retained in the accumulator. That is the major role of the accumulator, right? So, and also one of the data operand always is available at accumulator, because it is a one of the input to this ALU. Okay, here you see, here in ALU it has two inputs, one from the accumulator and one from the temporary register. I will explain temporary register later. Again, I'm going to explain the accumulator. Okay, so one more important functionality is there for accumulator. Okay, 8085 microprocessor accumulator. So here, by using this accumulator only, we can access the data from the memory. Okay, either you can access the data from memory, or data can be write to the memory through only this accumulator, not any other registers. Okay, not possible to communicate the memory through any of the other registers, like general purpose registers are there, like B, C, D, E, H, L are there. So except that HL also it is possible, but B, C, D, these registers are not available to access the data to memory. Okay, so either you can access the data from memory or write the data to memory through only accumulator. This is the main functionality of the accumulator. Okay, now come to the temporary register. Okay, so what is temporary register actually? So the same instruction I am going to take, that is add B instruction. So here the add B instruction is what? The content of accumulator is added with B register and result will be stored in accumulator. So already I told, so accumulator is always associated with what? One ALU. It contains one operand. Okay, one operand. Okay. So another operand is what? Add B. Here B register. Okay. For the B register data is temporarily stored in what? Temporary register. First, it is going to move to the temporary register. That temporary register will provide input to the ALU. Okay, so that B register is not possible to communicate directly with the ALU. Okay, first it is going to store to temporary register, then that temporary register will provide the result. Okay, it will provide the input to the ALU. Okay, that is the concept over here, right? Okay, so direct one operand is available at accumulator, and another operand, whatever the operand, whether it is a B register or C register or D register, whatever the register, that register content is moved to the temporary register. That temporary register will provide the input to the ALU. Okay, that is the concept over here, right? So temporary register. Now let's come to the flag registers. So what is the flag register? Means after the ALU operation performed, the status of that ALU operation will be indicated by using this flag registers. So already I explained the flag registers, that is sign flag, zero flag, carry flag, parity flag. So the corresponding flags will be affected based on the ALU operations. Okay, this is the flag register operation, right? Now next section, that is instruction register and instruction decoder. Okay, this is very important. So this register and instruction decoder means, so whatever the instruction, so already I explained the addressing modes of 8085 microprocessor. In that we are having two fields. Any instruction contains what? Two fields. Okay, that is opcode field and operand field. All these concepts are explained in the previous video. We just refer addressing modes of 8085 microprocessor, right? So here the opcode field. Okay, the opcode field, that data, okay, that instruction is first it is moved to the instruction register. That instruction register will decode. Okay, will decode the particular instruction after receiving the opcode. Okay, after the receiving the instruction from the memory. So it is going to decode that instruction. Okay, so after decoding, it is going to decide what type of operation has to be carried out, whether the move operation or store operation or load operation or add addition operation. So what type of operation, so that is decided by after instruction decoder only. So after instruction decoder, it is going to give the connection to what? Timing and control circuit. So this timing and control circuit, what it will do know, so after the data received from the instruction decoder, it is going to give the direction, or it is going to give the command to the CPU to perform the particular operation, whether you want to read the operation or write operation or ALU operation. So that operations will be directly, it is controlled and monitored by the timing and control unit after receiving the command from the instruction decoder, right? So now let us come to the timing and control unit section. So here we are having what different signals which are available in the timing and control unit. So that is reset signal. Here the reset signal is, it is mainly used for what? Resetting the device. Okay, so that is the reset signal. And hold is mainly used for what? Direct memory access. Okay, DMA, during direct memory access. So this hold is mainly used. Okay, then IO/M bar. IO/M bar indicates, that is IO indicates input and output, and M bar indicates that is memory. Okay, so what type of access, what type of communication has to done, whether you want to communicate with IO devices or memory. Okay, so that can be decided by this IO/M bar signal. Then S0 S1. S0 S1 is, it is mainly used for checking the status. Okay, what type of operation has to be carried, whether you want to memory read operation or memory write operation or IO read operation, IO write operation, that is decided by the S0 and S1. This is status signals, right? Then after this, after that ALE signal. This ALE signal is what? Address latch enable. So it is mainly used for what? Demultiplex. Okay, during the demultiplex of separation of the address and data bus during demultiplex of address, that is AD0 to AD7 one input pins are there. So in that both address and data bus is what? Multiplex. So it is separated by using this ALE signal. If ALE is equal to 0, that lines will act as what? Data bus. If ALE is equal to 1, that lines will act as address bus. So that is the main purpose of ALE signal. These and all I already explained in the pin diagram. Okay. the same operation here also, right? Then RD bar and WR bar signal, this RD bar and WR bar signal is mainly used for what? Reading and writing operation. So for reading operation means RD bar will be activated, for writing operation means WR bar will be activated. Then ready signal is mainly used for whether the system is ready. Okay, so that is indicated by the ready signal. Then the X1 X2 and clock out, all these signals are what? That is providing the clock signal to CPU, right? So that X1 X2 is what I mean, crystals, external crystals. Okay, so that is given to the CPU to generate the clock signal, right? So this is about what timing and control unit. This timing and control unit is mainly used to what perform the what type of operation has to be carried out by the CPU. So that is decided by the timing and control, right? Now this section is over, and now let's come to the register sections. Okay, here the register sections. We are having what? WZ register, BCDEHL register, and SP and PC register, right? Now let us see one by one. So what is the use of this W and Z register? Okay, so this W and Z registers are temporary data registers. Okay, so what is temporary data registers? At what condition this will be activated? Okay, whether it is user, is it possible to use by the users? So we are going to see all these things, right? So here WZ will act as what? Temporary data registers. Okay, so during exchange instruction, okay, I have explained that concept during explaining the previous video, that is 16-bit addition and subtraction, 16-bit addition and 16-bit subtraction using 8085 microprocessor. You refer that video. Okay, so in that video I have clearly explained the exchange instruction. During exchange instruction, what is exchange instruction? The content of HL content is transferring exchange between content of HL to DE. Okay, DHL content to DE, DE content to HL. So during that exchange instruction, that data, okay, that HL data is temporarily stored in WZ register. Okay, so after a D content is loaded, so whatever the WZ register is no, so content is there, no, that is will be transferred to D content. So during that exchange instruction, this temporary data registers W and Z will be activated. So this is done by using what? Internal operation by the CPU. Okay, so this W and Z registers we cannot access by the designers. For example, programmers, we cannot access this registers. So it is mainly used for what? It is the reserve purpose of CPU. Okay, it performs the only internal operation purposes. Okay, then for users, we can access what? General purpose registers. The general purpose registers are here B, C, D, E, H, L, and also accumulator, right? So here B, C, D, B, all B, C, D, E, H, L are 8-bit registers. Okay, we can access the 8-bit data, right? So if you want to perform the 16-bit operations by using this registers, means pairing concept is there. That pairing concept means in 8085 microprocessor we are having three different types of pairs. One is BC pair, DE pair, and HL pair. Only these pairs. Okay, you cannot combine with BE or DC like that. Okay, only the pairing concept is what? Either BC pair or DE pair or HL pair. These are the possibilities for accessing 16-bit data operations, right? Now if you want to perform 16-bit operations, we have to use the pairing concept. If you want to use the 8-bit operation, you can use individual registers, either B register or C register, D register, E register, as per your requirement. Okay, then here one specialty is there, that is HL pair. The one specialty is there for HL pair. Here HL pair is always HL pair will act as what? Memory reference pointer. Okay, memory reference pointer during indirect addressing. So indirect addressing mode, during indirect addressing mode, the address is specified or the address is stored in HL pair. That's why HL pair will act as what? Reference pointer during indirect addressing mode. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, HL pair. So and also I told no. So through only accumulator only it is going to store the data to memory and read the data from memory, right? And also one more option, that is HL pair. So through HL pair we are having two instructions, that is LHLD and SHLD. So that and all I explained in what 16-bit addition using 8085 and 16-bit subtraction using 8085. So you just refer that video, right? So during that, so SHLD and LHLD, so directly you can load the data from to HL pair and directly store the data from HL pair to memory. Okay, so that is possible by using HL pair. Okay, And also this HL pair is what? Memory reference pointers. Okay, some competitive examinations and all they're going to ask, okay, which register pair is used for memory reference pointer. Okay, so this the answer is what? HL pair. Okay, now let us come to the stack pointer. What is stack pointer? Here stack pointer is mainly, it is a 16-bit register. It is used to indicate the status of the stack. Okay, so that is use of stack pointer. Then PC indicates, so PC indicates already I told. So PC means what? Program counter. It is a 16-bit register. It holds 16-bit address of next instruction to be executed. It holds the 16-bit address of next instruction to be executed. Okay, so that is what? Program counter. Okay, already explained in the previous videos, that is 8051 architecture or 8086 architecture. The same operation will be carried out in 8085 also, right? Now next, come to the address buffer and the data and address buffer. Here address already I told, no. So 8085 microprocessor contains what? 8-bit data bus and 16-bit address bus. So here data and address buffer is there. So here AD0 to AD7. AD0 to AD7 is what? Multiplexer address and data bus. Both address is there and data bus is there. That is separated by using what? This ALE signal. This ALE signal, right? If ALE is equal to 0, if ALE, okay, this if ALE is equal to 0, okay, if AL is equal to 0, it will act as data bus. If AL is equal to 1, it will act as address bus. Okay, that is the speciality of ALE signal, right? So data, AD0 to AD7. Okay, then A address buffer is separate. Higher order address bus is always available. That is A8 to A15. Okay, so this multiplexer address and data bus is separated by using what? By using ALE signal. Okay, so this is the address and data bus. Okay, then okay, all blocks have explained. Okay, hope you understood now all the blocks which are available in the 8085 microprocessor. Hope you enjoyed and understood this concept. So please like, share and subscribe this video. Thank you.